Hi, you must be our new mentee for the job shadowing program. Welcome to XP Trust. I've heard great things about you already. I hope you didn't have any problems finding us. This is probably the first time you're shadowing an executive manager, so I'll go over a few things before we go to your office to make sure that you get the most out of this experience. As you know, you will spend the next couple of weeks with Bob, our executive account manager. He is fantastic to work with, and our clients love him. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but Bob was very excited when he saw the quality of your resume and was very pleased when you signed up for the job shadowing program. We're always looking to expand our team, and your profile seems to be a great fit. We just hired our last mentee, Mary Ruth, so if things go well, you might have the opportunity to join us too. By the way, did you see a delivery guy downstairs? The shipping company said his name is Deshaun. With that name, you know he's not from around here. These foreigners always mess up our address. I wish John were back. He was great. Never late, not even once. Talking about time, I think your office should be ready by now, but let me check on that quickly. Could you please turn on the TV for me? The remote is on my desk.
Welcome to XP Trust, and welcome to local banking, where you experience trust. We take our responsibilities seriously and are committed to the highest banking standards to serve our employees, customers, and the community. When you bank with us, you don't have to worry about your assets because we take professionalism, transparency, teamwork, and trust to another level. We are dedicated to finding the best solutions for your specific needs. We are here to serve you 7 days a week. Our employees are the neighbors you grew up with. They will provide you with high-quality investment products and unbiased investment advice because they care about you. Last year, for example, we supported over 200 local non-for-profit organizations through donations, fundraising, and volunteering. Because we don't just serve our community, we are part of it. Let us be your last stop when it comes to saving, borrowing, and investing. Let's work together and make Canada great again.
Hi, I'm back. Your office will be ready in 5 minutes, but I just realized that we don't have your onboarding questionnaire. Can you please fill out this short form? Your office is ready. Come right this way.
Hi, my name is Jane, and I'm here to help you reflect on each scene to learn more about racial discrimination at work, specifically how to identify it and how to respond when faced with it. Let's make sure we're on the same page. Racism is the belief that one group is superior to others, while racial discrimination is the expression of racism. In Ontario and most other jurisdictions, racial discrimination is illegal and includes intentional and unintentional actions that single out individuals based on their race, impose burdens on them and not on others, or withhold or limit access to benefits available to other members of society. While racial discrimination can be intentional and obvious, it often happens unconsciously and unintentionally through subtle microaggressions, such as through small actions, minor comments, jokes, or even name-calling. Did you see or hear any microaggressions during the initial conversation with Candace, the administrative assistant? You are correct. Unfortunately, Candace displayed a microaggression and engaged in negative racial stereotyping when she said, "These foreigners always mess up our address." Generally speaking, stereotypes are oversimplified ideas about a group of people. For example, the media often stereotypes police officers as being very fond of donuts. In the context of racial discrimination, stereotyping usually attributes negative characteristics to all members of a specific group while disregarding individual differences. In our case, Candace seems to think that all foreigners don't know their way around town. Since microaggressions often stem from implicit stereotypes, those engaging in them may not be aware that their judgment is biased. Thus, it's important for all of us to consciously evaluate the biases that influence our judgment and decisions. One way to identify these biases is to take the implicit association test, or the IAT, offered for free by Harvard University. You can find it by searching online for Harvard University and implicit association test. Let's talk briefly about the TV ad. It sounded like a typical banking services commercial until the very last sentence. Do you remember what the person said? Let's work together and make Canada great again. Before Donald Trump, the former US president, coined the slogan Make America Great Again for his 2016 election bid, there was nothing special about this phrase. However, as reported by CNN and other news outlets, Make America Great Again has since become a potent symbol of racism. In fact, research has linked the willingness to wear hats with this slogan to white nationalism. While not the same, the phrase Make Canada Great Again, at the very least, signals that XP Trust either does not understand or care about the meaning imparted by this phrase. However, conscientious customers might question the bank's intentions and values and potentially take their business somewhere else. Additionally, such a slogan might also cause some customers distress. Therefore, we encourage you to carefully research all phrases and symbols used in promotional materials, as their meanings can change quickly. By the way, the following scene will get more intense, and if you feel uncomfortable at any point during this VR simulation, you can simply exit it. When you restart the simulation, you can continue with the next scene or start over.
You will never guess who I saw this weekend.
Who?
Malik from accounting. And let me tell you, he was the life of the party. I almost didn't recognize him. He looked fantastic.
Malik? I didn't know you were into black guys.
I am colorblind, kind of like a panda bear. Do you get it? Black, white, Asian?
Fun fact, panda bears are actually not colorblind.
That was not the point I was trying to make.
I know you were just trying to be funny, but you have to watch out. I heard Malik got into trouble the other day when he showed up 5 minutes late. Bob made him take a drug test and he almost failed.
How do you almost fail a drug test?
I think he admitted to smoking weed over the weekend, but they didn't find anything in his system.
That's weird. I am late at least once a week, but I've never been tested. I didn't even know they could do that.
Well, yeah. Why do you think? You are white and pretty. But yes, it is in our contract. You may want to review it. Oh, hi. You must be our new mentee for the job shadowing program.
Hi, I'm Renee, and this is Alexa. We were just joking around. Talking about jokes, would you like to hear one? I knew it. Last week, I painted my computer black thinking it would run faster, but it just stopped working altogether. Just joking, of course.
You know, I didn't want to say anything, but your jokes are kind of racist.
Say what? I'm sorry that you don't find my jokes funny. You know me, we have worked together for years. I am not racist. I have black friends, and this joke is funny. You should tell it to Bob. He always has problems with his computer, and he will love it.
Thank you, Renee and Alexa. That was very, I don't know what. Anyway, let's move on.
Hello again. Wasn't that an interesting water cooler conversation? First, we had Renee say that she's colorblind, meaning that she does not see racial differences. While seeing all humans as equals seems great at first glance, it's problematic because it legitimizes established practices that maintain and possibly increase racial inequalities. For instance, the data indicates that the corporate world is tailored towards white men. For example, in reviewing diversity at large corporations situated in 4 major Canadian cities in 2020, Ryerson University's Diversity Institute found that only 13 out of 1,639 board members were Black. That is less than 1%. Additionally, even though over 50% of Torontonians identify as visible minorities, they represent less than 10% of top bank executives. In the US, the numbers are not much better, as under 5% of bank executives are Black. Part of the issue is that these organizations tend to hire new employees from the top universities, which rely on standardized tests to screen potential students. However, Statistics Canada reported in 2016, private high school students score significantly higher on these tests than public high school students. Moreover, as reported in 2017 by CBC, 63 out of 76 Canadian universities did not have data on their students' racial demographics, making it almost impossible to identify and correct any biases that affect student admission. Once admitted, minority students face many challenges and are often discriminated against on campus. Following the success of Black at Harvard Law, Instagram has now become a prominent outlet for students to tell their stories, and you can find many Canadian accounts such as Stolen by Smith, Silence as Schulich, Untold McGill, UWO Minority Story, or Black at UBC. In short, it's more difficult for minorities to get into top universities, and once admitted, they face additional challenges that lower their success rate at universities. Hence, by recruiting from the same pool of universities with limited diversity, organizations limit their opportunity to diversify their workforce. Instead of claiming to be colorblind, progressive organizations strive to create a level playing field and to be color conscious. In doing so, they recognize shortfalls in their recruitment practices and are willing to consider a variety of options to attract diverse talent with the required skill sets to accomplish the organization's work. If you're interested in learning more about colorblind racism, please read about Racism Without Racists by Eduardo Bonilla Silva. In this scenario, we also learned that Malik was tested for drugs for being late, while Renee has never been tested, even though she's late at least once a week. In Ontario, recreational marijuana use is legal. However, just like with alcohol, employees must come to work sober. Thus, in many cases, employers can require employees to submit to drug tests if they have a reason to believe that an employee is under the influence at work. However, selectively picking minorities for drug testing is clearly differential treatment on the basis of race, which is illegal in Ontario and most other jurisdictions. On the other hand, the boss also showed favoritism to Renee. Favoritism is often very subtle. Some employees might get randomly assigned to easier and wealthier clients or more influential mentors, but are then evaluated based on the same performance criteria than their less favored peers. Hence, favoritism can be a microaggression that skews the playing field. Finally, Renee decided to share a joke that was so offensive that it cannot be considered a microaggression. Such a joke clearly creates a hostile work environment. Just imagine how Alexa, her Black coworker, must have felt when she heard this joke. Notice that Alexa told Renee that her jokes are kind of racist. It's important to note that Alexa did not say that Renee is racist, but that her jokes are, thereby giving Renee a chance to apologize for her action and not for her identity. Criticizing the joke, comment, or action and not the person is helpful, especially in cases where it's based on an implicit bias and the employee is unaware of it. Unfortunately, Renee did not acknowledge the problem and instead defended herself. While we all make mistakes, instead of defending herself, it would have been better for Renee to validate Alexa's feelings and explain how she will ensure that she no longer shares jokes that are in poor taste. For example, Renee could have said, "I'm so sorry. I realize now how bad this joke really is. You must feel horrible. It's not my intention to hurt anyone. And from now on, I will only tell jokes that are truly funny and not hurtful to others. Please forgive me." Additionally, Renee should also take some time to reflect on what Alexa has shared with her in order to acknowledge any implicit or explicit biases at play in the situation. Once again, don't forget that if you feel uncomfortable, you can exit the simulation at any point in time. When you restart the simulation, you can continue with the next scene or start over. Would you like to continue?
Hey, do you have a second? Come on in. Hey, come on in. What are you waiting for? What took you so long? Welcome to XP Trust. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Today, I'll show you what it's like to be an executive manager. As a side note, we're looking to hire a few people soon. Based on your resume, you are very well qualified. So maybe we can add your application to the pile too. You probably don't know this, but I'm also the head of the social committee here at XP Trust, and I'm in charge of planning Malachia's going away party. Malachia has been with us forever. I think he might have been our very first diversity hire back in the day, and he's still with us because he actually turned out to be not half bad. It's going to be really difficult to replace him. When you look at the job market, there just really aren't many black people who are good with numbers. He doesn't look like it, but he was actually born here. I'm not sure why his parents stuck him with that name, though. It's just hard to pronounce. Why didn't they just call him Michael or Mike? I usually just call him Mike. Anyways, party planning is a great way to get to know the people in our department. The social committee meeting is in a few days. I'll introduce you to everyone. It's always great to start these meetings with a joke. Do you know one? That was not bad, but I'm sure you can do better. One more? Make sure you step up your game. As you'll see, we're very easygoing around here, and we enjoy joking around.
There you are. Bob might be great with his clients, but he can certainly do better with his coworkers. People's names are a part of their identity and often reflect their ethnic background and family lineage. Mispronouncing someone's name or giving them an unwanted nickname can be perceived as dismissing the individual and invalidating their cultural background. Consequently, it's important to pronounce others' names properly, and if in doubt, we must ask for the proper pronunciation until we get it right. Do you think that Bob is the kind of person who will do that? No, I didn't think so either. Bob also called Malachia a diversity hire, who turned out to be not half bad. Calling someone a diversity hire means that this person was not hired based on merit, but based on race or gender, often to check a diversity box. Bob doesn't seem to care for diversity and likely thinks that organizations should only hire the single most qualified candidate. While this sounds unbiased on the surface, like being colorblind, it's next to impossible to objectively identify the perfect candidate. Instead, organizations often develop hiring rubrics that focus on subjective or irrelevant measures, such as likability or cultural fit, that are based on a similarity bias that reduce diversity and do not predict performance. Moreover, organizations' operationalization of relevant items might further reduce their talent pool. For example, the notion of professional appearance is often based on a Western beauty bias that excludes job candidates with afro hair or dreadlocks. Therefore, it's very likely that Bob's claim of there aren't many black people who are good with numbers is based on his biased opinion. Now, to the joke. Why didn't you tell the computer joke? Don't you remember that Renee encouraged you to tell it to Bob? Do you think that your decision will affect your relationship with Bob and your future in this company? If the conversations made you feel uncomfortable, please take a break. When you restart the simulation, you can continue with the next scene or start over. Would you like to continue?
I think I just saw Mike walking by. Joe Mike, my brother from another mother. What's up? We were just talking about you. Did they sell you down the river, or why are you leaving us?
Bob, we've been over this. I've finally had enough of this place. People like you are the reason I am leaving. Do you have any idea how inconsiderate and racist you are? I've told you a million times that my name is Malachia, not Mike, Mal, or Malali. Speak to me like you speak to the other employees, and don't ever call me brother, ever again.
Who do you think you are? Do I have to remind you that you're here to learn from me? You better watch what you say, or else I'll make sure you won't find a job within 100 miles of here.
We really should go now.
Hi, I'm back already, since Bob cannot stop making racist comments. The phrase selling someone down the river nowadays means that you're betraying the person for your personal gain. However, once you know the origin of this phrase, you can understand how inappropriate it is. When slave trading was still legal, slaves were often taken to Louisville, Kentucky, one of the biggest marketplaces, to be sold down the river to southern cotton plantations that were known for their inhumane treatment of the slaves. So in addition to being separated from their families, these slaves faced extremely poor labor conditions and almost certain death. Now, given the background information, do you think it's appropriate to use this phrase in the workplace, and especially when speaking with a Black coworker? To avoid being in a situation like this, I encourage you to research common phrases, as there are many that have racist and sexist connotations. Let's talk about what you did after Malachi put the record straight. I'm glad that you stood up for Malachi. Bob certainly crossed all boundaries and does not seem to stop at anything. Do you think that you have a future at XP Trust? But what would you say if you face a situation in real life? Bob seems to be a lost cause, but that doesn't mean that you should stay silent. To be silent is to be complicit, and not speaking up will only encourage Bob's behavior and prevent the possibility of change. But how can you talk to Bob in an effective manner? Mary Gentile developed an approach called giving voice to values. It starts by you thinking about what you believe is the right action or decision. Obviously, in this situation, it would be that Bob should stop being racist. However, before you can tell him this, you must develop a proper argument. To do that, you should think about what Bob might say if you told him to stop being racist. Realistically, Bob is not likely to just say, "Great idea, I will do that." Instead, he will most likely try to defend himself. For example, he might say, "It's just fun and games. Don't you get it? I'm just joking." Or, "This is none of your business." In addition, he will also try to rationalize his actions. Nobody wants to be a racist. So Bob might justify his conduct by saying that it's just normal office talk. Everybody does it. Or that his words are not meant to be offensive or hurtful. Or that Malachi is just overreacting. While these justifications don't change the unethical nature of the conduct, they help Bob, the perpetrator, to feel better about himself. By thinking ahead as to how Bob might try to justify his actions, jokes, and comments, you can come up with ways to address them. So Bob understands that his conduct is not acceptable and has severe negative consequences. Moreover, you should also think about what's at stake for Bob. What are the negative consequences he could face? Next, think about what's at stake for you before you come up with the most powerful and persuasive response to the reasons and rationalizations identified. This will prepare you for his arguments to ensure that you don't get immediately shut down. In our case, we could tell Bob that his conduct is hurtful, not funny, and clearly considered racial discrimination. We could also tell him that Malachi could file a racial harassment lawsuit against XP Trust and him personally. Please note that following the giving voice to values approach does not mean that Bob will listen or change. In this specific case, it might even be more fruitful to discuss the issues with HR. As always, you may choose to take a break or continue with the simulation. When you restart the simulation, you can continue with the next scene or start over. Would you like to continue?
Yes, I know. We've had a few complaints about Bob.
A few complaints. When Sylvia left, we gave her a year's salary to not sue us.
Yes, I am well aware of this situation, but nowadays, it is hard to know the difference between racism that gets you fired and racism that gets you elected as a government official. Some of our biggest clients love Bob and will only deal with him. They will not be happy if he leaves.
and they'll likely switch their accounts to wherever he goes next. We are talking millions and millions of dollars. We simply cannot afford to lose all their business.
But we have to do something. If he continues to harass employees, we might get sued big time for not taking any action.
Okay, how about we ask him to take some training? Maybe a quick online thing? Or we bring someone in for an hour to talk to all employees. That way, we don't single him out. He's our superstar. The money he brings in keeps us alive. So we need to make sure he's happy.
I think bringing someone in is a good idea. I'll look into it.
That didn't sound good. This conversation indicates that the CEO is ignoring the concerns expressed about Bob's behavior due to his star employee status. This is a red flag regarding the leadership and culture at XP Trust. In this situation, by refusing to hold Bob accountable, XP Trust allows a toxic organizational culture that does not create a safe and healthy workplace for its employees. While the scenario might sound staged to some, in October of 2020, a San Francisco federal court ruled that Tesla must pay a former elevator operator who endured racist abuse $137 million since the company allowed a hostile work environment to flourish. In addition, a pending class action lawsuit claims that Tesla is rife with racist discrimination and harassment. You can find the latest news about this case by searching for Vaughan versus Tesla Inc. online. In Canada, more than 600 Black public servants joined a class action lawsuit that seeks damages of 2.5 billion Canadian dollars due to the unjust practice of Black employee exclusion due to systemic discrimination. More information about this class action lawsuit can be found by searching for Nicholas Marcus Thompson et al. Versus Her Majesty the Queen. So while the simulation is not based on a specific case, it unfortunately reflects the reality experienced by many employees. Let's assume for a moment that XP Trust wants to change. It's a miracle, or the shareholders have simply had enough and demand that XP Trust become an inclusive organization that embraces diversity and takes advantage of all the benefits a diverse workforce has to offer. Do you think that this would be possible? It is surely unlikely and certainly cannot happen without significant changes throughout the organization. The attitude of top leadership matters in organizational change efforts, and several key employees, including the CEO, would have to be replaced. And even then, it would take significant effort to change the organizational climate and diversify the workforce. The Canadian Human Rights Commission recommends responding to claims of racial discrimination by implementing a comprehensive organizational anti-racism program that includes an anti-racism vision statement and policy, proactive and ongoing monitoring, specific implementation strategies, and continuous evaluation. For more information on how to implement such an anti-racism program, please consult the Policy and Guidelines on Racism and Racial Discrimination, published by the Ontario Human Rights Commission. Don't forget that if you feel uncomfortable, you can exit the simulation at any point in time. When you restart the simulation, you can continue with the next scene or start over. Would you like to continue?
It's been a few days now. I hope you found everything all right so far. You know, if you ever have any questions, I'm here to help. You've probably already figured this out by now. But Bob is terrible. And if you have any other options, stay away from XP Trust. Bob once told me that I was only hired because I whitewashed my name on my application. I have so many sleepless nights because of this place and can't cope with it anymore. There are so many things wrong with this company. All senior executives are white, middle-aged guys who've known each other since college. Good people like Malachi are not only being overlooked for promotions, but straight out harassed on a daily basis. Given his experience and track record, he should have been Bob's boss by now. I don't know how he was able to stay here for that long. Bob seems to like you. Do you think you would accept a job offer from XP Trust? Good. I'm leaving this place as soon as I can. I just need to find a new job.
Hello again. Are you surprised by Alexa's experience? Constant racial discrimination leaves a mark on employees, and exposure to such toxic work environments can have a detrimental impact on employees' mental health and trigger chronic stress, anxiety, depression, and racial trauma. Society has downplayed the role of mental health issues for far too long, and I urge you to take them seriously, whether they're the result of a hostile work environment or any other situation. Your mental health affects your emotional, psychological, and social well-being and helps you to handle stress, focus, learn, feel and express your emotions, communicate, and maintain relationships with others. If you want to do well at work, you must make your mental health a priority. Did you know that the Ontario Employment Standards Act 2000 entitles employees up to 3 days of unpaid sick leave for stress and other mental health issues? Take them if you need them. If you continuously struggle with mental health issues, seek professional help. The Canadian Mental Health Association can provide you with resources and point you in the right direction. Feel free to take a break before the next scene. When you restart the simulation, you can continue with the next scene or start over. Would you like to continue?
Hi, how are things going so far? I know that the first couple of days can be stressful, so I hope you're finding everything okay. Did you already have a chance to read through my email? I thought about the party some more, and I think we should go with the Yellow Submarine. I'm telling you, their meatball subs are out of this world. Also, the black-owned Project Pizza place and the dim sum place are a bit shady. Don't get me wrong, they're okay, but I don't really trust them in their reviews. I also looked over the scheduling assistant, and while Friday looks good, Thursday is definitely the best time to meet. That way we can avoid Malik and Alexa. Those two are the real troublemakers. Malik once complained about me to HR. Can you believe this? Me. I probably shouldn't tell you this, but he's a drug addict. I want to fire him, but I just haven't caught him high at work. Yet. But it's just a matter of time until I get him. Alexa's the same. They're all the same. Anyways, can you do me a big favor? Please tell the social committee that this was your decision. Subs for the party on Thursday. They don't have access to the scheduling assistant, so there shouldn't be any questions. Can I count on you, champ? I owe you one. Great. Make the right choice, and you can have a great future here. I can already picture you as our next new hire. I'll see you in a few minutes at the social committee meeting. Be prepared to present your recommendation to them.
First, I would like to ask you if you remember Bob's email signature. It was, I succeeded because I wasn't lazy and didn't rely on society to help me. If you just work harder, you'll succeed too. While Bob probably regards his signature as a way to encourage others to work harder, these statements assume a level playing field and don't take white privilege and other external factors into account. It has been proven repeatedly that minorities face systemic obstacles to getting jobs and promotions. They must often work harder to simply be considered as equals. As I said before, I encourage you to be more cautious with everyday phrases. In addition, Bob continued to make inappropriate comments and display microaggressions. For example, he said he doesn't trust the Black-owned Project Pizza store and that dim sum place or their reviews. Obviously, he's not going to change, and working for him or at XP Trust would be challenging to say the least. If you ever find yourself within an organization that allows such a toxic organizational culture to flourish, do not give in and engage in racial discrimination yourself. Remember, just because everybody else is doing it does not mean that it's the right thing to do. Try to voice your concerns by following the giving voice to values process outlined earlier in the simulation. XP Trust, as it currently operates, is a terrible workplace that violates several sections of the Ontario Human Rights Code, whose very foundation stresses an organization's duty to take steps to foster environments that are respectful of human rights. In the last scene, Bob admitted that he's trying to get Malik fired, likely because Malik complained about him to HR. This again violates the Ontario Human Rights Code, which is very clear in stating that retaliating against someone who made an internal complaint is illegal. Overall, there seems to be enough evidence to file a discrimination claim under the Ontario Human Rights Code with the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal. Do you think you would have a future in such an organization? Imagine if this is your first job right out of university or college. You may have student loans that need to be repaid. You have finally found a decent place to live, and maybe you've bought a new car. Bills will stack up quickly, and the worst thing that can happen is for you to accept working for Bob. Based on everything you've heard so far, you can only succeed at XP Trust if you're part of the team. While Bob's conduct is upsetting you, now over time you will accept it as normal, and it won't bother you anymore. Over time, you may make similar jokes and engage in similar conduct, whether Bob is around or not. So ideally, you'll start looking for new job opportunities right now. However, if you cannot afford to switch jobs, make a list of all the things that bother you and read these notes often so that you don't adjust and accept them. Are you ready for your presentation to the social committee? You can also take a break. When you restart the simulation, you can continue with the next scene or start over.
Welcome to XP Trust. I hope you are having a great experience so far shadowing Bob. He is one of our best employees, and I am sure you will learn a lot from him. We are always looking for bright young people like you to join our team. Bob told me that he delegated Malachia's going away party planning to you. You should feel honored. The first point on the agenda is food. Which caterer do you think we should use? I am more of a subs and sandwich person myself, but that's fine.
Me too. I even tried to sway the vote towards Yellow Submarine since I knew it's your favorite, but I guess this is fine. You should have listened to me. I told you that I know people's preferences.
All right. Now that this is settled, what is the best day to hold the party?
Are you sure? I thought I made it clear that Thursday would be better. Do you want to revise your recommendation to Thursday? Please tell me why you disagree with me.
Friday's the better time.
Things got a bit heated here for a second. Maybe we should tell a joke before taking a quick break. Do you know any joke? That was a pretty good one. One more? That's all right. No worries. I just got an important email. Let's take a break and continue this meeting later.
Welcome to a final reflection. I hope you didn't find the decision task too challenging. The purpose of this task was to demonstrate how organizational politics can make it very difficult to stay true to your values, especially if you want to stay with an organization. You knew exactly what location and time Bob, your supervisor, wanted you to pick. However, following Bob's instructions would require you to exclude Malik and Alexa from the farewell party and vote against minority-run food vendors. In short, it required you to engage in racial discrimination. I hope that experiencing how these organizational forces can pressure you to go against your personal values prepared you for the challenges that are ahead of you. Feel free to revisit the simulation as often as you would like and follow up on the suggested readings. I wish you all the best.